What's up, everybody? So every so often a bike comes out and completely dominates its class year after year. In regards to brand image, country of origin, everybody respects that bike. And I think the Tuono aptly fits that definition. Today we're going to do an overview of the bike, blast around on it, and give it that Motopologist review at the end. The Tuono rolled onto the scene like thunder through the hills in 2002, just before its sister bike, the RSV Melee, stopped its first generation run. With its naked sport bike, upright handlebars, and a non-detuned motor, created quite a stir in the naked bike community. They went on to have two generations with the V-twin, and then in 2011 switched to the V4 motor. In 2016 did the 1100 motor. This is the 2019 Tuono Factory 1100 with the electronic Olin suspension. That's enough of the history book. Let's jump into the motor. As mentioned earlier, the Tuono and the RSV used to be a 1000cc V-twin. Well, switching to the V4 just made sense, because who doesn't love a low bottom end but also a high top end power band? The Tuono is a 1077 V4 configuration motor at 65 degrees. Makes about 175 horsepower. Not that impressive on a spec sheet, considering its sister bike, the RSV4 Factory 1100, makes 217 horsepower. Where this bike shines? 4,000 RPMs. Whoop! Fun stoplight to stoplight acceleration. Drowning in a sea of inline fours, no wonder everybody's attracted to the Aprilia V4 motor. However, they forget where Aprilia comes from with a heritage of chassis design. The aluminum frame, adjust motor positions are all unforgettable after the first ride. The bike features the electronic Olin suspension, which allows you to adjust it via the TFT dashboard. You also have Brembo M50 monoblocks up front with 330mm disc and Brembo up back as well. Unfortunately, to meet the price point, this is the first factory that does not come with forged wheels from Aprilia. Now, keeping up with the motor and chassis, Aprilia gave us an Inspector Gadget amount of rider aids via the APRC system. Wheel speed sensors on the front and rear wheel control ABS, traction control, wheelie control, launch control, even cruise control. Least importantly, pit limiter for the street guys. Now, these are all adjustable via the dashboard from 0 to 8. You also get a quick shift up shifter and an auto blip shift down shifter. You might say, it's kind of gimmicky. Why do I need an auto blip shift down shifter? Until you do it once. Going into the corner, you will never feel more like Max Biaggi on the straightaway going into turn 1. Well, that's enough of hearing my voice. Let's go hear the Aprilia V4 roar through the corners and take off on acceleration. The Tuono could almost be considered a lazy rider's RSV4, as the power comes on so low, you don't even have to watch the RPMs upon exiting the corner. The bike is a master of hiding your flawed handling skills and an eye-opener on how quick it can adjust from low-speed tight corners to a large sweeping corner. While the bike doesn't feature the forged wheels, it still feels effortless to toss side to side. The Olin suspension, as always, embraces and encourages the corners. While better than most looter bikes around town, the Tuono still prefers to be above that magic 4K RPM point where the bike eagerly awaits you to twist the throttle and go. The aggressive exhaust note leaving the stock canister will have people staring, and shortly thereafter, jaw dropped as you accelerate and quick shift with a millisecond pause between each shift. While attention is fun and all, the bike's hooligan looks and sounds might attract the wrong people. The Tuono is a naked bike. Expecting to have tremendous wind coverage is foolish. However, the shrunk-down RSV4 front fairing was able to push a lot of the air up towards my helmet. The turbulence was apparent behind 18-wheelers pushing me side to side, but the 1100's near-instant torque rockets around any vehicle feeds. The Tuono is a tall bike. With a saddle height of 32.5 inches, you'll find me tiptoeing at every stoplight as if I was on a GS adventure bike. The handlebars are semi-aggressive, and most people find switching out the risers to a set of Mana risers increases comfort. The saddle was revised in 2016, thankfully, because the previous wood plank on the 2011 through 2015 models was terrible. The rear sets are sporty, but thankfully not to the point of cramping or needing a foam roll after a long ride. For comfort, I'd give it a 7. In town, the bike lugs along as the RPMs are not in their happy place above 4,000. Also not stoked, the clutchless upshift and blip shift downshifting at low RPMs. The Tuono's engine temp gauge might as well start at 200 degrees as the bike is constantly between 215 and 228 every stoplight. The fan tries its best to keep up, but pulls more amperage than the stator can put out. The ride-by-wire demand sensor has since been changed from a separate module to being integrated in the throttle tube, eliminating the option of aftermarket grips and having a steady throttle hand as the sensitivity is extremely high. For in-town riding, I'd give it a 7. Entering the highway is no problem as the bike instantly just right up to speed with no issues. Once you're there, the body position puts your wrist a little bit lower and allows the wind to kind of get higher than you would on most naked bikes with an upright handlebar. You do get some wind blasts, which is not too bad, but the side-to-side wind and turbulence behind 18-wheelers causes the biggest problem. On the top end, though, if you're having to escape somebody, you're perfectly fine as the bike will pull all the way up to 12,000 RPMs, no issues. For highway riding, I would give it an 8. It's hard to argue against how well the Tuono handles for two main reasons. One, the electronic Öhlins does its job and keeps the wheels stuck to the ground. And two, Aprilia, a chassis manufacturing company, has decades of making bikes handle well and honestly, handle like they feel lighter than they even are, even without the coveted forged wheels. The body position and rear sets put you in a prime handling position for street riding, but can handle track time as well. For handling, I'd give it a 9. Acceleration is where the Tuono will put that goofy smirk on your face knowing you just broke the law. Post 4,000 RPMs, the bike erupts with power and pulls well past 12K, peaking power around 10,000. Wheelie control allows the front wheel to rise a few inches off the ground, and the electronic Öhlins steering dampener keeps it from that floaty feeling. The traction control kept the rear from spinning while still putting out ample amounts of power. For acceleration, I'd give this a 9. Overall, the Tuono is a benchmark of what a naked sport bike should be. Properly set up with electronic Öhlins and a competent chassis means cornering and handling is far above the rest. The 1100cc V4 motor has combined the V-twin low-end grunt with an inline-4 freight train top end, giving the bike massive torque and a very usable power band. The electronic package rivals even the most technological bikes and allows the user to set how intrusive they do or don't want the bike to be. To be frank, the Tuono is the naked sport bike's best definition. Maybe that's why it's been voted number 1 year after year. Thanks for watching, everyone, and remember, ride fast, take chances, and click subscribe.